Evening, everyone. My name is Amelia. I am the Githia of River Pine Kindred. I know in my last episode of our podcast, I told the story of my path and my journey into the Norse faith. And today I'm going to tell more about what River Pine is and what we do for the community. Now, in the beginning, it started out with 3 of us, and then we grew for more people, and then as years went on, we made alliances with different kindreds and, had more people join with what we were doing. And we shared a lot of community outreach with a lot of other different kindreds. And as years went on, the pandemic happened, which was a great shift for not just River Pine and the community, but as well as our outreach and what we were doing. And so we had to focus more on our community as well as our members of River Pine. And as the pandemic got better, we got more into going to gatherings and making alliances with other kindreds, which was a very great thing. We got to meet a lot of wonderful people and made new friends along the way. However, as the years changed, our alliances changed with other people, and we grew in different areas that we felt that was more beneficial to River Pine Kindred. And every kindred is different. Some people are more about just their members only, and others are about advocating for what they do for not just their members, but outreaching into the community. And many of them form alliances with other kindreds in the areas that they live in and build and weave frith to make not just good foundations, but as well as good forms of spiritual outreaches with other pagan communities and other people in the community that are non-pagan related. However, River Pine shifted over the past year, and we used to go to a lot of different things, not just others gatherings and others festivals and Ren fairs, as well as, marrying people of different areas of the community. However, we decided about a year ago, if not a little more, that we were going to really focus on our community because the fact that we didn't have much where we are in the Texarkana area. Even though there's about, maybe 250 pagans, many of them are not very prevalent in the area, and we kind of, network within the communities of the Arklatex, as we call it, for Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. But we decided to focus more on the Texarkana area about a year ago, and we try to work with whoever we can and help others in what they need. And a lot of that kind of, I guess you want to say, started with me because I had a really big hang up about me being alone as a pagan. It drove me crazy because I felt like I was just spinning my wheels, living from day to day, not just honoring the gods, ancestor veneration, connecting with the land, and reading and studying and growing in my spiritual path. And that was one of the big hang-ups that I had. And so when River Pine formed into what it was, I wanted to make sure that no one ever felt alone like I did for all those years. And to have a community, even if you weren't a part of River Pine Kindred, you could still come to our meetups and hang out with folks and find common ground with other people that you had the same interest with. And so our meetups, which we have been hosting them for the past 7 years, monthly, and now we've branched out into the Shreveport area at the All Souls Universal Unitarian Church, who was so kind to bless us with using their space for free, as well as other people that we've met that has said, hey, if you want to meet up once a month at our venue in Texarkana area, you could host it here for free when the weather's bad or it's too hot or, whatever's going on if we don't want to have it outdoors at the park. And so all these blessings came into play And we started working on our area as much as possible. So, as I said, no one felt alone. And with time, we got more families with children of all different ages, and we came up with different activities for the kids and stuff based on, the reason for the season of why we're, you know, honoring the gods or honoring our ancestors and celebrating these holy days. And, with time, I hope we could have more banquets and festival like things to where we could have it to one day we could have vendors. However, slow and steady wins the race, as I believe as an old friend once told me, and I believe that's really true. And so for what we are doing for starting the month of May, we are working on backpacks and school supplies for the kids. And we've already reached half of our goal. And we were just mentioning it here and there, since the beginning of the year. And we had this wonderful person, she donated tons of school supplies. And so now all we had to focus on, is the backpacks, the pencil boxes, the dry erase markers, Clorox wipes, tissue boxes, and scissors, and a few other things that are, minor things that you would need. And we're so excited to be able to give back to community because, it takes a village to build something great, right? At least that's what I believe. And, River Pine was not built in a day. It took years in the making, and somebody that sees what potential that we could have for River Pine and what we can give back to the community. And what most people don't know is 90% of our donations and everything we do goes back to the community. Only 10% of it goes to River Pine Kindred. And with that being said, I want people to understand we are not like a church. We do not hoard our money. And we rarely use it for ourselves. Like, yes, occasionally we will use it for gas or we'll use it to pay for a venue. But 90% of our money gives back to the community on what different people need. We don't have a food pantry yet, but, we do offer food services in minor ways to help somebody, get through a paycheck period, or, somebody's child needs clothes or shoes, or someone's moving and going through hard times and they're at the bottom of, their purse or whatever you want to call it when it comes to finances. And so this is how we give back to the community, as well as what we do for Yule time for, getting jackets for the kids or shoes or toys or, art supplies for the ones that are the arts and crafts kids, as well as, what we can do based on other people's needs. And, we really can't tailor to everybody's needs, but we do our best that we can. And, we're not a big organization. We're not going to make millions of dollars or hundreds of dollars, on what we do for River Pine. But what funds and finances we do have, we do our best to help people. And we have great members that help make this possible, as well as great community members that also makes this possible. And I wanted to share this story with y'all to understand how River Pine is and our dynamics of how we do things. And I hope it would inspire you to do things in your community, to weave frith and to help others, and to do many great things in the area. And with that being said, I hope you find this story inspirational. And if reading about our posts and our podcasts and everything we post about on our social medias is something that you enjoy about what we're doing, leave a comment below or share your story of what you do for a community or, your kindred or your family that is inspirational to you, that may be similar to what River Pine does. And so this is my thought process of, Amelia Oof and River Pine on how we do stuff. And I hope y'all enjoy this second podcast that we have. And I hope y'all have a great Sunday.